On the state report card, you will also see a category called overall test scores. There's an ISAT category, and then there's an overall test score category. All the information we were pulling is called data mining. We're pulling data off State Board of Education websites and going piece by piece through that. Hours and hours have been put together getting this data together for you today. The 9-year average on the overall state test are as what you see. Our 2 schools fall in the bottom 4. How do we compare to our neighbors? The recent study failed to make any comparisons to our local neighboring unit school districts in either tax rates, yearly cost per pupil, or administration costs. Why? This fact was pointed out to the authors of the study when they originally made their presentation, and their comment was it wasn't within the scope of the study. Well, we're still trying to determine who determined the scope of the study, because actually the state of Illinois determined that scope. It was set out very clearly, and the study that was done did not meet that scope. I assure you we'll talk a little bit more about that. What the major items that were missing in this study: the 5-year projected consolidated budget is not in that study, even though it was a direct requirement of the state of Illinois before this gentleman got paid for this study. It's not there. Wouldn't it be nice to know what this district could look like 5 years from now? It would be really nice to know what this district could look like. How about the current minimal projected staff needs? That would be really nice to stand in front of the teachers and tell you exactly what the staff needs were. We're a little leery about doing that. The reason why we're a little leery about doing that is because that's a decision made by the new school board. A new school board is not even elected yet. So we can't put words in the mouth of a new school board. So that's why we're really reluctant to talk about that. This new school board will be elected by you, for you. How about the effects on the extracurricular activities due to reorganization? It also wasn't in the report, even though it was a requirement. This is a big issue to some people, especially if sports is a big issue. Some of the parents out there. Why are we, let's give an example. We have 7, 8 girls on a basketball team over here and 7, 8 girls on a basketball team over here. Can they effectively scrimmage with 7 or 8 people? So they're saying if we put them together, maybe we can make an effective team here. Maybe we can scrimmage together. So it's some of the issues that weren't discussed. I'm going to digress here. If anybody's been reading the Telegraph on this issue, they know that we met with Dr. Diver. No doubt that we met with Dr. Diver. These are some of the quotes right out of that. The study was poorly done. Okay, I want to comment on this. The study was poorly done because the meeting that we met with Dr. Diver with was not over whether we had a viable tax rate, like the media in the paper would lead you to believe. It was over this very issue. How do I stand in front of a group of people and tell them the stuff that's supposed to have been in the study that our taxpayers paid for is not there? I don't like saying draw your own conclusion to that. It ain't there. I don't like giving that to the public. Tell me a reason why it isn't there. That's the reason Dr. Diver gave it. The study was poorly done. So that's the reason why we were at that meeting. He also will give you a quote, there is enough money in the levy to operate on consolidation. There's almost always enough money in there to operate on consolidation. It's what level of services you provide to your children. So we're going to get back to that. Local geographic data obtained from Illinois State Board of Education clearly supports the data in the recent study. The recent study is not flawed. A lot of people will say that. We agree with everything that's in that study. The only thing we don't agree with is what's not in the study. The items that were required to be in the study that aren't there. So we want to make that point. We've reviewed and compiled the data for the last 9 years from 2002 to 2009 on these report cards. We would have went back farther if we could. The reason why we can't go back any farther is because the state of Illinois started putting this on their website in 2002. So it's the farthest you can go back and get data is 2002. But I believe that's a pretty good data set from 2002 to 2010. So what does this data reveal? This data reveals that our administration costs are 55% higher than our comparables. That is not a misprint. That's 55% higher. If you look at the chart, and I'm not a big chart person, you can see here's East Alton 13, here's the high school, and here's Wood River Hartford. We are paying a large amount of money into administration fees. Administration cost of our budget, here they are if you don't like the graph form. Here's what they are in number form. Again, this is nothing but a 9-year average of the data collected right off the Illinois State Board of Education's website. Anybody in this room can go access that information at any time. Here's the local data in reference to our educational tax. We pay 31% higher educational tax per 100 than our comparable unit school districts when averaged. Well, let me tell you how data can be misleading. Can a superintendent of one of our elementary districts stand in front of a group of people and say, my school district tax rate is on par with everybody else? I'm going to tell you, yes, he can. And that is an accurate and true statement. Let me show you how that is done. If I was under Wood River Hartford superintendent, I could say my tax rate is on par with the rest of these. Well, what that superintendent would not be telling you is he's only educating the K through 8th grade. The real truth is he's comparing himself to people that educate K through 12th grade. So how do you get the true number? You have to add, in this case, Wood River Hartford and the high school together to give you the Wood River Hartford actual cost. You have to do this over here with East Alton Wood River to give you the actual cost. That's how we truly compare to our neighbors. That's where we really lie. There it is in form. If your kids go to the East Alton School District and go to the high school and you pay into the high school both, you're paying a tax rate of 6.46. If you do it the other one, over on this side of town and go to the high school, you're at 5.71. You can see there are all the other numbers to everybody else around us. Now, I will give a disclaimer where disclaimers always do. Assessed evaluation does play a role into these numbers. Absolutely, it does. But I will also tell you, if you look at the EAV of these numbers, 4 of these comparables that I show you to have a lower EAV than what we have. And for you not familiar with EAV, it's equalized assessed evaluation. How much tax money is in that community per pupil? 4 of these comparables that we have looked at have lower EAV than what we have. They are Southwestern, Bunker Hill, Bethalto, and Granite City. How does this present tax rate structure affect our residents and affect our communities? Here it is. You can see we've laid this out. In Hartford, with a Roxana Unit School District, a house would be worth $2,400 or a $100,000 house. The taxes on it would be $2,441. We step across the middle of the road onto the other side of the street, the cost goes up $400. Are they providing a better education? It doesn't show it. The scores don't show it when you're looking at a 9-year average. Let's look at East Alton. In Roxana Unit School District, $2,554. We step across the street, and we're up in that house to $3,240 or $700 a year. You can all read. I don't have to go through this slide completely, but I do want to draw your attention. Look at the ones that are underlined. The ones that are underlined are unit school districts. You notice most of them are pretty well all real close to each other. No matter what community you go to, from Hartford to Wood River to Bethalto to Alton. The only one that really gets out of sync a little bit is we go down here to Edwardsville. Sorry about that. Edwardsville has a lower tax rate than anybody because they have a lot of businesses over there. They have a lot of equalized assessed valuation. I ask you, how do I get somebody to move into my community? How do I get somebody to buy the house down the street from me when they can go to Edwardsville and pay $1,000 less a year? That is a concern for our communities for years to come. How can we go do that? Data clearly favors unit school districts. They provide more advanced educational opportunities for our children. They provide the most efficient, equitable system of financing public education. That's without a doubt.